Welcome, Hudson Valley. This is Conor Walsh, host of In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. This week on In Touch, we speak with Ian Bearup, the new head winemaker at Millbrook Winery. His story is truly a tale of two coasts. We discuss how his experience on the West Coast has helped to elevate his winemaking skills and innovate the New York wine scene. Ian and I also go into Millbrook Winery's upcoming events like their annual Summer Jazz Concert Series featuring a performance from former New York Yankee turned jazz musician Bernie Williams. We invite you to join us and listen to a previously recorded conversation between Ian and myself here on In Touch. Hello, Hudson Valley. You're listening to another episode of In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. We got a great episode for you guys today, and who knows, maybe after this you might end up being a little buzzed, feeling a little good afterwards. You definitely will be if you go and visit them. With us from Millbrook Winery, we have Ian Bearup, new head winemaker. Ian, how are you?
Cheers, Conor. Doing great, man. Thanks for having us on today. We appreciate it.
I'm really happy to have you in here. You guys have a lot of great things that are going on. As I just said, new head winemaker. And that's the first time that position has changed in like the 40 years that's been open. John Graziano was the one who had that role first, right?
Yeah, so next year is Millbrook's 40th anniversary, and John Graziano was the first winemaker back in the very early 80s and has been the winemaker, vineyard manager, pretty much running the show for, 38 years. I came on in 2021 and worked with John for the first year in the winery, and then kind of took over the winemaking in 2022, partially in 21, and then worked with John kind of in the vineyard. We have, this beautiful 30-acre vineyard, and just had a retirement party for him December of last year.
Oh, wow.
We hung this really cool banner like in a hockey rink, like with his picture on it.
That's awesome.
On it, yeah. But yeah, John is, a staple of Millbrook in the Hudson Valley for sure.
To have him retire and for you to be able to take up this mantle now, that's really impressive. But even though you've been here in Millbrook since 21, I believe you just said 21, you've been working in wine for a while now, and you have quite an impressive reputation when it comes to that. Do you mind telling us about your story?
Yeah. So, really the Northeast, New York, upstate New York, and Northern California are kind of the two places I've spent almost my whole life. So I was born in Northern California, north of Sonoma and Napa County, and my uncle had bought some acreage there. My dad, who's an Albany native, moved out there when I was still in the womb. So got there, was born out there, lived out there for a couple years when I moved back when I was 2 or 3. But my father planted a vineyard out there with my uncle, Chardonnay Pinot Noir, in Anderson Valley, which is really super high-end, fantastic. Now, back in the early 80s, when I was, born there, it was really small, kind of burgeoning wine-growing region. But moved back when I was 3 to Cambridge, New York, in Washington County, just a couple hours northeast of here. And then when I was 10 or 11, my uncle convinced my parents to move back and run the vineyard, plant more acreage there. So crisscrossed the country again when I was 10 or 11. Spent 3 years there, I think, is what it was. And then when I was 13, we moved back to the same town, Cambridge. My parents were just, I don't know. Both coasts, they're really two of the most wonderful places in the country, kind of upstate New York and Northern California along the coast. And then after I graduated college, me and some buddies took a road trip out to kind of just cross the country, hit Wyoming and all these great places in Nevada, and ended up back at that vineyard, staying at my uncle's place, and was like, man, this is pretty cool. Maybe I'll come out here and do something with this. So moved back out there, went there in 2006, worked for AmeriCorps for a year, and then I got an internship at a winery. And how wineries work is they hire on a couple people just for the harvest season.
Oh, interesting.
Which is kind of, you start mid-August, you work till kind of harvest season's over, because that's the busy part of at a winery. You're busy all year, but that's you're picking grapes, you're going 12, 15, 16 hours a day, you got multiple shifts going. And when I finished, I'd met some really great people who turned out had got a degree like went to a master's degree in making wine, which I thought was insane. Like
Probably never heard of that before,
yeah, I was
right?
like, what is this even a thing? And so decided, I want to, you work so much, you work 7 days a week. And when I was done, I was like, oh, I'm done with this. But like a couple weeks later, I was like, oh, maybe I really enjoyed that actually. And the people there were great. And it is a fun experience, but it's super demanding. You wouldn't think so. You'd think you show up, you're like, oh, I'm going to taste wine. And it's like, no, you're going to dig and you're going to scrub and you spend most of the time cleaning and sanitizing things.
Oh, I'm sure.
So got a job up at my uncle's ranch, that same vineyard that I was pretty much born at. 20 years later this is. Got a job at another little winery and spent a year living in a little trailer on the Navarro River. Just had the best year and really got entrenched in it. And from there, went to New Zealand, went to Oregon, different parts of California.
Wow.
It was some absolutely amazing years. But in 2010, I landed at Boleto Vineyards, which is kind of Sonoma Coast, Russian River Valley of Sonoma County, and spent 10 years there as the assistant winemaker, associate winemaker, working with some incredible people and learning. And 2021, COVID spurred on so much change for so many people.
Absolutely.
And was on wine business and saw Millbrook and was like, oh, Hudson Valley, because I'd kind of interviewed with some wineries in Virginia because the Finger Lakes was like, I never was a big Western New York guy. Never really went out there. So I didn't really know the Finger Lakes at all.
Yeah.
And was like, to me, it was either Long Island, Virginia, and that was it. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, and it turned out a bunch of guys I knew out in California had worked for the sister winery of Millbrook, which is called William Sellium. Oh. And they're a very, very top-tier, high-end winery in the Russian River area. So I had a bunch of connections to Millbrook already. And David Bova, the GM, I emailed him. He emailed me back. He said, fly out. Let's meet. I spent 2 days at the winery. I landed in JFK. I was driving up to Taconic, and I was like, I gotta stop at Stort's. I gotta get a hot dog. I gotta get a milkshake. I was texting all my buddies like, I'm on the Taconic right now, and they're like, what are you doing here? So they were all convinced. So many close friends still here that I would never move back to New York, and so was I for a long time.
Wow.
But the Hudson Valley is such a special place. So. Yeah, I decided to move back. Dragged my California-born wife back here.
So did she do as much traveling as you ever did?
No,
So that was new for her.
She was like, she's a California girl. Yeah. And she spent a lot of time in Mexico. She biked from Northern California all the way to Colombia.
Oh, my God.
She's a wild woman. Absolutely
nice.
An amazing gal. But they don't like to leave that warm temperate climate.
Yeah,
at least she does it. Yeah,
I can get that.
Yeah,
I've been out to California, but I've been New York born and raised and everything.
Yeah.
I was out in California right before the pandemic. I was filming some stuff, which was an incredible experience. I could have stayed there forever.
Yeah.
Where I was in the San Bernardino area, and I was chilling, and also of course doing like TV and radio and music. Yeah. So like I'm having the time of my life, but. Yeah, no, it was a cool thing. So that's awesome to be able to globetrot as much as you have and then kind of land here and be able to take that experience.
Land back home. Really growing up like in Washington County, which is essentially 2 hours north of like, say, Millbrook, we didn't come down, like growing up, we didn't come down to Dutchess County. Yeah. We would come down to just go to Poughkeepsie to catch the Metro North to the city. And still, my buddy was the guy. He had the map, right? It was, and I was like, I don't know where Poughkeepsie is. I don't know where we are. I knew Saratoga, Albany. I knew like Cambridge and Vermont.
You got the capital region and a little further up
more
there.
Capital region, more Saratoga, a lot more Saratoga.
Yeah, that's. I went to college up there, so two homes for me.
So landing in Dutchess County, and we first landed in Pine Plains. We lived in Pine Plains for the first couple of years. And it's like you can bounce all around Dutchess County. It's some of the most beautiful countryside. And Millbrook is right in the middle of it. Yeah. And you can bounce over to like Northwest Connecticut, Lakeville, these little towns over there. We go to Lime Rock, the Raceway a lot.
Oh, nice.
And then you can hit up Great Barrington and the Berkshires. head over to Rhinebeck. I mean, Catskills, Woodstock. Like the first 2 years, we did something new every single weekend.
And that's the way to do it.
And there's just a nonstop array of things in all these great small towns. And so, yeah, we've really, I mean, I absolutely love Dutchess County now. We don't go south often. We don't go to the city often.
There's a lot to do here.
Yeah, there's so much to do here. You know, we were in Saratoga this weekend celebrating a friend's birthday, and, you know, it's so great being back in New York.
No, that's awesome.
And especially, you know, being back in New York and doing what I love, what I spent, you know, this was my 18th vintage, you know, and doing something that I've spent so long learning and cultivating and practicing and drinking, you know.
There you go.
New Yorkers,
you have to test it, right?
New Yorkers love drinking, and it's really been an incredible thing, and the job itself is so different in New York.
I'm sure. What does that look like compared to doing it out west?
So Millbrook, the great thing about Millbrook is that they do have the sister winery in California. So Jeff Mangahouse, the winemaker for Williams Sonoma, is like, I can call him, email him whenever. He ships us, you know, barrels that he's only used a couple times that are thousands of dollars a piece, you know, at a fraction of the price. So we still have this connection to California. So equipment, we can get equipment. You know, when you're making wine in California, it's kind of like making movies in Hollywood. Everything is around you. Yeah. You know, if your press breaks, the company that makes it is right there. The cork company is right there. The glass company, everything is right there. Here in New York is, you know, we have Prospero, who, shout out to those guys, are absolutely incredible down in Pleasantville, but that's like it. Until you get over to Geneva, you know, Geneva has certainly a lot of the industry is there in the Finger Lakes. But yeah, if something breaks, you fix it yourself. Like,
gotcha.
You're duct taping it together, you're rewiring something, and that's the last thing I can do is electrical work. But you become the farmer, the mechanic, the winemaker, pretty much everything.
Yeah.
And that's always something I loved about making wine and running a winery. My dad was a mechanic from our house. My mom was a caterer and a chef. So it was like we were very self-sufficient.
That's pretty impressive.
And Millbrook really, you know, most wineries in the Hudson Valley, the Hudson Valley is the smallest of our three appellations, really.
Yeah.
You know, you've got Long Island, the Finger Lakes, and the Hudson Valley. And the cool thing in the Hudson Valley is the weather's super tough to deal with during harvest, but it really makes you more in tune with the weather. In California, you're just like, oh, sunny day again, sunny day. Oh, it's going to be like heat waves are something you think about in California, or forest fires, of course, which is something that I dealt with a lot. Here, it's, you know, there's rain events, there's hurricanes coming from the south. Are they going to hit us? Is it going to go out into the ocean? So you are so in tune here in New York, and I've been so impressed with the quality of the wines that you can make here in New York, even with weather that in California, if we even saw half of the weather was here, we'd be like, oh, throw your hands up.
We're done.
Walk away.
Right?
Done. You know, this is write it off. And so it's given me a really cool perspective on doing it. And the Hudson Valley is like, so, you know, everybody is local as much as you can. And we really want that to translate into wine.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of restaurants that all their food pushing local, but don't really represent local wine enough. So we were told that's a big thing I'd love to see. But yeah, the growing conditions in the Hudson Valley are certainly difficult to work around in some cases, but we're real lucky. Our 30-acre vineyard is up on a beautiful slope, well-draining soils. We have a gorgeous view of the Catskills. Most important thing is here, it's getting as much sun as you can.
Yeah.
So, you know, our rows are north-south facing with east-west exposure, mostly western exposure, because that's the most intense sun of the day is that western exposure. And so the vineyard that John planted there over 30, 40 years has changed and developed. And so that knowledge that he has is like, I'm like, he was in a couple weeks ago. I'm like, John, when the grapes start growing, you're coming, you got to come, you know, and
he's still around.
You can't just sit at home. You've created this, you know, this living thing. And so, yeah, he's still gonna come and go, what are you guys doing? You trying
It's like, what you doing in my place?
Yeah. So,
but I love that, you have those connections and you have those resources available to you. I think that's great. Yeah. Again, you're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. We're speaking with Ian Bearup, head winemaker at Millbrook Winery, talking about his amazing globe-trotting journey that led him back to Dutchess County. And it's really incredible to talk to him about this. Ian, this is really fantastic, the story that you've been able to build up and the things you've been able to create. Now, as the head winemaker, is there a new direction or something in particular that you're hoping to do in this position to help build up Millbrook Winery and help build up wine here in Dutchess County in the Hudson Valley?
Sure, yeah. I mean, the wine industry, beer, distilleries, the liquor business in Dutchess County has really grown from what I've understand. I've seen it moving here in 21, new breweries opening up, new distilleries opening up. Millbrook was really one of the few for a long time, and now there's quite a few more. Yeah. And everything I hear when we do tastings, we do pourings. We're part of a Cab Franc coalition that includes all the other Hudson Valley wineries, and our big thing is that Cab Franc is really our red grape of the Hudson Valley. I love going to these events because there's people that have been I've been drinking Hudson Valley Cab Franc for 25 years, and they were the best we've seen is within the last 10.
Wow.
And they're really more serious people are getting into the business here. And Millbrook, with Millbrook and John Graziano, was John learned from some really great Bordeaux winemakers who came here. John Dyson brought him here, and John has these great stories of learning from these guys. And what I'm really just trying to do is carry that mantle, keep that going. We opened 25-year-old Cab Francs that John made, and they're wow, these are incredible.
Yeah.
And nobody knows about it. Nobody is buying New York Cab Franc and cellaring it. Put it away, put it in the storage, because I'm telling you right now, it's really special, and it's a fraction of the cost of those Bordeaux Cab Francs. But that being said, yeah, we're really continuing what John did, certainly bringing a lot of the winemaking techniques that I've learned in New Zealand and in Oregon, which are cool climate regions, and the Sonoma Coast for sure, to the winery, trying a lot of new things, seeing what, works, definitely doing a lot of the same things John was doing. He showed me all of his techniques of what he was doing with the wines, introducing some maybe different oak barrels, some different yeasts. One of the biggest things was kind of working really hard to find, we can only grow so many grapes in the Hudson Valley.
Yeah.
And to achieve the case counts we want, we have to purchase grapes. So really, really working hard to find really good growers, because it's it's like anything. You have farmers who do it as cheap as possible and want to grow as much as possible, and then you have growers who are really, really in tune with their land. They're putting everything into it, and those are the growers you want to find, because you're paying a top dollar for these grapes, and the weather's difficult here, so you really have to be a great farmer to navigate that. So bringing on some new growers for some of our bigger bottlings, like our New York State Chardonnay, our New York State Cab Franc. We buy grapes from Long Island to supplement what we have. But then also kind of redesigning some of our packaging. We just updated our label and packaging for our Block Designate series of wines, which are 100% from our Millbrook Vineyard. They're kind of single vineyard wines, but they're little blocks within those. We do a Tokai Fruliano. Our PSR is kind of one of our biggest wines, but we do a Lollipop Hill is what we call it. So it's just 1 acre of Tokai planted, and it's kind of a hillside slope. And we do some things differently with it and age it a bit longer. And so we've really updated the labels on that, and a lot of equipment getting updated in the winery. So some infrastructure stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's really a staple of the Hudson Valley, and my goal is really not to change that, but just keep moving it forward. I love that we're kind of this old world winery, but some of the equipment is now becoming kind of new world.
Yeah,
in that sense.
But you still have that old world atmosphere and feeling and
Yeah.
legacy too.
Yeah. I mean, you go up to Millbrook and you have this incredible view, and it's just big lawns and the vineyards right there. And, people can come up, you can hike pretty much around most of the entire vineyard. You can buy a bottle, go out, have a picnic. We've got some great events, which I'll go on
please
about.
tell me about the events. That was something I want to talk about. You got Bernie Williams coming to play for like the third year, right?
Yeah, Bernie was, I think that was like my first year, and David, the GM, comes in. He's like, yeah, I got to meet Bernie Williams this weekend. He had just come up on his motorcycle. Stopped in.
That sounds so badass.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, he just on his motorcycle.
Yeah, just stumbled across it. All those roads, like I'm really into antique cars and sports cars, and those roads are like just so top notch.
Yeah.
So beautiful. And so, I came in. David connected to him. It turns out Bernie, post Yankees stardom, went to NYU and got a degree in music. So he's this incredible musician, plays jazz guitar. And that's a big thing that we do. We have jazz. We have jazz concerts that start June 22nd, which are pretty much every Saturday from 5:30 to 7:30. That run through the end of August, and they're out on the lawn. It's all outside. It's beautiful. And Bernie now is a staple of our jazz concerts.
That's cool.
He comes and he brings in a big crowd.
I'm sure.
And so at first it was like, oh, we'll just have Bernie do a concert every year, but it quickly kind of turned into like, oh, Bernie's really into wine, actually.
Oh, that's neat.
Let's have him come and like taste through some barrels and, just yap. It turned into like an hour of yapping and tasting to like, hey, let's do a Bernie blend, like a red blend.
Ooh.
So the first year, we did 50 some odd cases, and we had a Cabernet Sauvignon barrel, we had a Cab Franc barrel, we had Merlot, like really the basic components of a Bordeaux blend. And Bernie was like, I kind of want to make something out of this. So we grabbed a thief and a graduated cylinder, and he decided the percentage of each of those wines that went into that blend.
Oh, wow.
So we didn't just slap like a sticker on it. And
he was very much a part of it.
He was very much a part of it. And the first year was, it was like a slow little start. And then the next year we did like a Pinot and a Chard, and he picked out the barrels, and he was way more into it. The next year he's like, I've been drinking a lot of wine, And so we just blended the 2022 like a couple months ago, and it's in barrel right now. I'm going to bottle it, I think, towards the end of May.
Cool.
And that concert's August 3rd at the winery. And that's one of our biggest concerts for sure. He brings some incredible musicians with him. That's a wild show, that one. It's really good.
I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I've seen stuff online. I've yet to see him live. So
he's the chillest dude.
That's awesome.
He's absolutely the chillest guy. I was never a big baseball guy. Mm-hmm. Finally went to a game. The owner of the winery he has season tickets, and we went, and it was like right on the Yankees dugout.
Wow.
I mean, it was like my wife and kids. We don't really watch baseball. Mm-hmm. We watch Formula One. We watch March Madness. Like we're
okay, nice.
But one of my closest friends is a huge Yankees guy. Him and his dad, and I showed him. I texted him. He was like, "What?" I was like, "Yes." Yeah. It was incredible, and hanging out with Bernie it's like you would never know. It's just the chillest guy, and yap about for hours about wine and art, really, and music. Mm. They really are cohesive. But yeah, other than our jazz concerts, we've got weekend food trucks starting early May, which is Saturday and Sunday all the way to the end of October.
Wow.
And we've got wine deals. We've got usually 2 trucks. I mean, every type of food truck. Some real staples come up there. And then our Friday night food trucks start towards the end of May.
End of May.
And that's a great way to end your day. Or end your week at the winery. But lots of other little events that we post like on our website and Instagram stuff. Some sip and create kind of series is what we're calling it. So we're going to do like a sushi and wine.
I just had sushi last night.
Yeah.
And that sounds perfect.
Yeah, we're going to be like, kind of what pairs well with sushi. And then we're going to do some rolls and have the guys from, I can't remember the place right here in Poughkeepsie. I'll probably remember it. But they're going to come up and be a part of that, hopefully. We're doing a bonsai and
Oh my
sushi
God.
or in wine.
Yep.
So it's like doing it, and we bring in these people who do this, like the bonsai guy. He's going to come, and we're going to drink wine and do bonsai, paint and wine, charcuterie boards and wine. We've done like flower arrangements and wine. I mean, every kind of little thing that you want to come spend 2 hours, learn it, do it, and drink at the same time.
Sounds perfect.
In a beautiful environment.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat. So, every year brings on something new, and we're always looking, if there's people out there that are like, "Oh, I do this or that," whatever it is, like give us a shout.
Yeah.
We always want to bring in especially people from the community.
Yeah.
It's all about that. We get a ton of visitors from New York City, which is wonderful. They're fantastic. But so many people, local people.
Just right here. It's their backyard.
The amount of people I met, they're like, "Oh, we go to Food Fridays. We've been going for years." So telling people I work at Millbrook is like everyone's had it.
Nice.
And loves it. And so it kind of goes back to that, what am I doing with the winery? Just keeping that going.
That's beautiful.
Really want to just stay a part of the community. You see a lot, you see a lot of restaurants, a lot of businesses come and go. But Millbrook is a real staple, and it's really hard to beat the location. It's just so beautiful. It's like the best commute ever driving up there.
I'm sure.
I love it. Yeah.
I'm sure. That's awesome. Again, you're listening to In Touch, Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley's award-winning public affairs and issues program. Speaking with Ian Bearup, head winemaker with Millbrook Winery, talking about the wonderful things that they got going on this summer, especially Bernie Williams, their jazz concerts, their sips, and just about anything, whether it's the wine or sushi or bonsai or just all these different pairings, how Millbrook Winery is really just promoting local. And with all these things that are coming up, how can people stay up to date? You said a Facebook page, an Instagram page. Where should people go to follow you guys?
Yeah, go onto our website. We have an events page on our website. Follow our Instagram, follow our Facebook, call the winery. It's really, summertime, it's one of the biggest things have since moving to California. I have like summertime anxiety.
Really?
Like, it's only here for a couple months. Like, we have to do every single thing we can. Like in Northern California,
just like, yeah,
summer's a lot longer there.
Yeah.
So it's like you're like, oh, I got months and months. Here it's like we already booked our Cape Cod vacation. We're like already, what are we gonna do? Every weekend is packed full, right? And I know that's the same for so many people. So look in the Hudson Valley, magazines, we're big into those guys. There are so many great magazines in the area that what my wife and I do like every Thursday, we're like, all right, what are we doing this weekend? We'll go on Hudson Valley, Times Union, nice. All of those local, you guys check out who's promoting what, and we're all over those. So come check us out. I mean, Hudson Valley wineries, there's so many great ones. Millbrook's just a part of that scene, which is food and wine.
Can't beat that.
We have so many great restaurants, and the Hudson Valley wine has really come up and becomes the quality has gotten so good that it really goes with that fresh produce that's a Hudson Valley so good at.
Naturally. I think that's fantastic. And of course, all the links and information will be in the description of this episode, so you don't have to hunt. You can just find it real easy. We keep it nice and easy for you guys.
Yeah,
just like it is going to Millbrook Winery. They make it nice and easy for you as well, and you have a great time. Ian, thank you so much for being on this episode of In Touch. I'm so excited to see what this year and summer has in store for you.
Cheers.
This has been this week's edition of In Touch, the award-winning public affairs and issues program that runs across Townsquare Media, the Hudson Valley radio stations. We want to give a big thank you to Ian from Millbrook Winery. To learn more, visit millbrookwine.com. Of course, all links and information can be found in the description of this episode. I've been your host, Conor Walsh. Until next time, stay curious, keep an open mind, and as always, I'm glad we get to spend some time